Showtime has been waking up early, and he is the only European, the only big name European, I should say, that has been playing in this. He got knocked out last week pretty early on, but I wish him the best this week. And at the very bottom, we have Nightmare versus Stats into Gumiho, and here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner. Bottom right-hand corner of side Delta, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the red Zerg representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the blue Zerg player, currently teamless, looking to fight back, looking to make a deep run here. It is DRG. Fabulous. Sorry, just dying a little bit. We're good. We are good to go. And yeah, our ZvZ is upon us, and this could go either way. We have casted DRG defeat Dark in the past. That has happened before. Could happen again. Not likely. Dark is going to be coming in as the favored player. That is true, but DRG can make him work for it. And I want to believe that we can make a series out of this. I want to believe that we can even go all the way to the ace match. For now, Dark going for a hatch gas pool. Likewise, so is DRG. Standard openers from both players. Everything is looking normal. Everything is looking standard so far. Now, we are loading into side Delta. Typically a very defensive map, at least on two bases. Reason why I say this is one of the few maps that has a ramp leading into the natural, which means you have that high ground, you have the high ground, you have the point of elevation, you have a choke point, and of course, yeah, quite an advantage here as a result. This is applicable to a lot of matchups, and when it comes to two-base play overall, so something like two-base Roach is not unheard of on site Delta. But I imagine that neither Dark or DRG really wants to dabble in that. When I speak about two-base Roach, it's usually off of a 15-15, and we can see that it's been a hatch gas pool. Like, there hasn't been any kind of, like, delayed gases being taken or anything like that. Here we go. Just catching up with the chat. It's 10 a.m. for Showtime. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Showtime, he's the only European pro that does sign up for this. So I appreciate it. I appreciate that that Showtime has been signing up the European Cups. And here we go. For now, we do see the third base is being taken here from both our Zerg players. We do have some Lings on the way here for Dark. Dark, where is that Bailey Nest, by the way? DRG going for his Bailey Nest here at the natural base. Dark delaying his own and going for a flood of Lings. Here we go. As Lings are on the horizon here, Dark going for a massive Ling flood. And meanwhile, DRG so far none the wiser. He's going to be chipping away at that third base. But we still are making nothing but Lings here for our red Zerg. We go. And now we see why. Roaches. We throw down a Roach Run again. We're skipping the Bailey Nest. The Lings have been spotted. Lings have been spotted, and we need Bailings desperately so. Bailey Nest is done. There we go. 3 Bailings are on the way immediately. DRG, can he hold? Can he survive? Stark is arriving. There's going to be a window here before the Bailings do finish where we can chip away at these Lings. We can try and deny that hatchery, and it's going to get very low. Hatchery taking a lot of hits. The Bailings, they do finish. Bailings are going to be waddling on in. Up! And Dark is going to be forced back. The hatchery is saved, and behind this, we have that Roach Warren on the way. Dark still hasn't really droned too much. He did make a couple of workers here at his natural, but we have Roaches in production. Dark keeping the pressure up. Again, he's trying to keep DRG as busy as possible. DRG going for his own Roach Warren. Dark just keeping DRG on the back foot. And there it is, the Roaches, they have arrived. Behind this Dark, he's squeezing out a couple of drones. A couple of, like, 1 or 2 workers here and there. And DRG, he just has to defend. Like, DRG, he's up 10 workers. He's up heavily here in the economy. He just has to survive. A blue Zerg just has to survive here. And as long as he doesn't over-drone, he should be okay. Meanwhile, Dark is massing roaches. He's still just amassing roaches here at his third base. The longer this goes on, the better it is for DRG, but this is what I was worried about. He's making drones! Uh-oh. DRG, he's making workers right now, and he can't afford to. Not against an all-in. Drones are not something that we need right now. There we go. He's still making more workers. Meanwhile, Dark is all-in. He's just 100% all-in at this point. There's no other way about it. Dark, he checks the saturation, and he sees the drones! He sees, he knows, and he's going to be feeling pretty good about it himself. He sees the transferring workers. We fully saturate the third base. There is nothing here for Dark. And we're pushing. We are completely all in. Looking at the supplies, Dark, he's up 26 supply. He's up in roaches. Up in lings. These bailings going to be very crucial here in the defense. Yeah, we're going to be picking off some of these roaches as well. Another roach does go down. DRG making 15 roaches as we speak. Is it going to be enough? Dark, he does collapse on this. The bailings, they go down, and the lings, they can wreak havoc here on this army. They come in from behind. They lock down the roaches, and Dark, he's breaking through. He's breaking through this initial army. We do have some reinforcements on the way. Reinforcements are in production. Can DRG hold on? He has queens. He has a transfuse. He has one transfuse available. Dark being forced over towards the third base. His hatchery's still very low. And we will snipe the third. The hatchery will go down. But DRG, he's holding. He's holding on. And again, DRG, he's got 50 drones. He's got so many workers, but here come the lings. And Dark just luring the army out. He collapses on the roaches once again, and he will clean them up. Big pickoffs. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Again, Dark just cutting workers at 28 very early on. Dark, he never saturated his third base. He never touched it. Just a complete 2-base all-in out of Dark. And DRG initially held. If you remember, he initially defended against the Ling Flood. It was a really good moment. But it was afterwards where DRG, he thought he was safe. He thought that his opponent was backing off and macroing. And DRG made too many workers. He made too many workers. He fully saturated his third base, and that was his downfall. That was the death of DRG. The act of spending all that money and spending all that lava on economy instead of army. And sometimes that is just how ZvZ works. The dynamic of ZvZ, scouting is very important. And when I say scouting is important, it's part of it is about scouting tech, that's true, but mainly you need to know if your opponent is droning or not. You need to know if they're saturating their bases or if they're making units. And DRG just was not able to confirm that. And here we go. We're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner. In the top left-hand corner of Hard Lead, we have the South Korean Zerg player. The red Zerg representing CranKy Z Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player representing himself. He's currently teamless, currently looking for a team down in this series, looking to fight back, looking to force that ace match. It is DRG. We go. And now we load into a very aggressive map. Hard Lead, the shortest rush distance map in the map pool. Doesn't take too long at all to get across the map. As a result, aggressive styles like what we just saw can work really well on Hard Lead. Regardless of the matchup, all-ins are very common and very much so just very commonplace on Hard Lead as well. So we'll see if DRG embraces the aggression this time. For now, Hatch Gas Pool. Standard opener out of DRG, standard opener out of Dark. Really, we're looking for points of deviation once we get our naturals up and running. Whether we skip the Bailing Nest, whether we go for our fast Evo Chamber, whether we drone, whether we don't. On 2-base play, that's kind of what we're going to be looking at, and even if we delay the third, or even skip it. So for now, everything is looking normal, and everything should be normal for the first couple of minutes of the game, as the Overlords are moving out and confirming that. Now, after what just happened in Game 1, I was gonna say that I don't really believe that Dark would go for an all-in this time because he already has, like, he already did so in that first game. But it's Dark we're talking about. Like, he throws caution to the wind all the time, and he has momentum in the series. You know, he is ahead. Why not just double down and be hyper aggressive as well? And it's hard to get a read on that. Again, for ZvZ, like, Ling scouts are so important. Like, that's typically what you rely on for drone scouting, for, I should say, for getting an eye on the economy. Is sending out Lings time and time again, getting a read on how many workers there are, how saturated we are. So here we go. Third base is being taken for both players. Bailey Nest should be on the horizon here for both DRG and Dark. Lings have arrived. Bailey Nest on the way from Dark. This time he is not skipping it. Likewise, DRG also throws down his own Bailey Nest. So everything this time is looking standard. Remember, last game, Dark skipped the Bailey Nest. This time, he isn't. So far, everything's looking as it should. As Queens are fanning out. DRG getting across the map. He's going to be applying some pressure to the third base, but only with 4 Lings. Dark should be able to deal with this with his reinforcements. The hatchery's getting a little bit low, but not the biggest of deals. Alright, we're okay. And from here, we're going to be establishing ourselves on 3 bases. Bailey and Ness are finishing. And it's going to be on both of our Zerg players here to get a read what's going on. DRG does get into the main. He does confirm, you know, there's no fast Evo chamber, that we are droning. Meanwhile, Dark is denied entry into the main base. He doesn't get in. We have some safety bailings on the way from both players, just to make sure that we are secure. And both players are droning. We're chilling. So, yeah, this makes sense. Again, after Dark took a lead in this series, after he was hyper-aggressive, he's going to be calming things down by droning. And by getting to a standard game. Getting into Roach versus Roach. Now, we do have an earlier Roach one here from Dark. Dark, he loves doing this, by the way. Even with this Roach one, it's not like a weird timing, but he throws it down behind the middle line just to make it that much more difficult for the opposing player to scout. So Dark going to be getting into Roach production a little bit faster than that of DRG, by a couple of seconds. Now, the advantage that DRG has, even though he has a later Roach Warren, is that DRG has faster +1 range. He has faster upgrades. He has a delayed lair as a result as well. So there's a little bit of deviation between the players, but nothing major. I would say that the biggest thing is this +1 timing. Dark is going to work on his own +1 momentarily, but it is going to be later than that of DRG. Substantially so. You know, DRG going to be droning, taking his gases as well, being a little bit greedy here. Just completely saturated here on 3 bases. Likewise, so is Dark. There we go, gases now being taken a little bit later. And yeah, this is kind of like, this is almost like a European ZvZ. This is where it's like no rush 6 minutes, no rush 7 minutes. Just macro up, drone up to 3 base saturation, and now we can make roaches. Now we can attack. So it's been very passive so far. And here we go. Now that DRG has droned up to 70, now he's making roaches. Likewise, Dark, one step behind, is going to be droning up to 66 before getting into his own roach production. Oh! Due force to cancel. Very nice pickup. Very nicely done there by DRG. Cancels the 4th, takes his own. Overseer goes in. Very important timing here for DRG. The purpose of this is to get eyes on a Spire. On whether or not there's a Spire, whether or not there is a Hydroden. So you can see both players right now just going for that scout, confirming what is going on. Now, because DRG got faster +1 range, we have +2 range already in production. DRG is working on it. Likewise, across the map, Dark working on his own upgrades as well. Again, one step behind when it comes to his +1, or when it comes to his range upgrades, period. And DRG going for some drop play. Okay, let's go. Overlord speed is done. We have 3 bailings towards the main, and we have 4 bailings towards the 3rd. Drop lords are moving out. Dark so far unaware. This mineral line's looking very exposed. Spores are getting in position. Queens as well. The drop lord has been spotted. At least one of them. Keen eyes there from Dark. Does rotate over. But is it going to be enough? Overlord's being sent out. Yeah, the Overlords are scrambling, just trying to drag or keep the attention of Dark away from the real Dropper Lord. So we are ready to dive in. The Overlords haven't pulled the trigger yet. Meanwhile, Dark, interesting. Okay, so Dark, he cut workers at 66. That is 3-way saturation, and now he's going into a fast infestation pit, into a Hydrogen, into Hive. We do see Hydra Lurker Viper on the way for Dark. Dark, he's embracing the late game. Meanwhile, DRG is one step behind. He's just now working on the infestation pit. He still has Roach Ravager. He's maxed out right now. Essentially, all the money that was spent here on this army, Dark instead invested in tech. So Dark is vulnerable. Dark, he is vulnerable, and DRG, he's going to be looking to hit his timing. Like, +2 is about to finish. That's the moment that we need to strike. But is it going to be enough? Because the longer this goes on, the better it's going to be here for Dark. Here we go. DRG's pushing, and here come the Dropper Lords. They're going in. It's go time for DRG, and the Dropper Lords are going to be denied. The first one does get denied. He pushes right through the center. Yeah, and DRG with an overwhelming Roach army gets us over that center hatchery. Dark forced out, forced down the ramp even. A better concave here for DRG at the same time. The Bailings, they do crash in. 20 workers do go down. Dark, his economy in shambles, and he is just being zoned away from his own bases, getting out positioned. At the same time, we have a drop load into the main base. Drones are going down, but Dark is hurting, and DRG is remaxing. He's remaxing. GG gets called. There's just nothing left here for Dark, and DRG ties up the series 1-1. GG. Again, a very crisp timing there. DRG, he hit as soon as he got +2. Not just that, but if you remember again, Dark, he was vulnerable in that moment just because, not just because of the lack of upgrades, but also because he was investing everything into, again, the Hive, the Infestation Pit, the Hydrogen, the upgrades, working towards Hydra Lurker Viper, and he was caught with his pants down. That's why it's actually very risky to transition like that. It's very risky to tech in ZvZ because if you're teching, that means you're not making roaches, and if you're not making roaches, you can die. You can straight up die. So a really powerful moment there from DRG. The window was open just barely, and DRG squeezed his way in, was able to hit Dark before it was too late. Remember, if the game went on any longer, Hydras, Lurkers, and Vipers, they would have been out, and Dark would have had a superior army and would have outscaled his opponent. So, again, really crisp timing, really nice moves out of our blue Zerg, and we are going to the ace match. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the red Zerg, representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg, the other South Korean Zerg player, currently teamless, looking for a team and forcing this into the ace match. It is DRG. Here we go. We are getting to our opener so far. Hatch gas pool, everything is looking normal for the time being. For now. We'll keep our eyes peeled for where we go from here. Once again, there's our pool timing, there's our gas timing. Both players are mirroring each other. Now, as we load into Hecate, we do have to speak a little bit about the map itself. When it comes to hard lead, again, really short rushes by ground. We saw that as soon as +2 finished, DRG, it didn't take him long at all to get across the map and to push and to assert himself and to snowball out of control. Meanwhile, Hecate technically does have a short rushes by ground, that is true, but the difference is that Hecate is much more defendable. Unlike hard lead, there are a lot of points of elevation. There are a lot of ramps here available on Hecate, here towards the left, towards the right, towards the center. Just a massive area that's so difficult to push into. The aggressing player, especially in Roach versus Roach, can trade pretty poorly trying to force their way up one of these ramps. So that is something to bear in mind. That is something that allows Hecate to be a little bit more of a macro-oriented map, just because you can defend on 3 bases that much easier. The 4th is more exposed, and you do kind of force yourself to spread a little bit too thin. That's if we go that far. As for now, Lings for Dark are moving out. They are moving out across the map, getting a bit of scouting information. Dark going to be joining behind this, working on Link speed. Likewise, so is DRG, and the thirds have been thrown down. With DRG and Dark going for their 3rd bases on time, on location, where they should be. There's that Bailey nest from DRG, and we should be seeing one from Dark, and there it is thrown down. Now we can see both players just scouting each other, chipping away at the 3rd bases. And really, we're going to be keeping our eye on our players here to see if anyone decides to make a wave of Lings, or if we just drone. Speaking of, that is 14 Lings on the way. Here we go. Dark going to be amassing Lings here back at home. He will be the aggressor. DRG happily droning. Now again, he does have the safety Bailey nest, and we should be seeing, there we go, 1 Bailing on the way, just for safety. Lings have been spotted. Immediately, 3 more Bailings, or 2 more Bailings on the way, 3 in total. Roach 1 is thrown down. Oh, the Queen getting surrounded. Alright, DRG able to hold on. Force back those Lings. And it's all about these Bailey connections, as Dark is going to have to back up behind this. He is droning heavily to catch up. Oh, he gets the Queen. He gets a full surround of the Queen. Will get picked off. Got a good trade there for Dark. Bailings are going to finish. One of them will not. As Dark, he wants another Queen. He gets it as well. Big connection. Dark turning water into wine there, catching 2 queens, forcing out and trading better with the Link Bane. And from here, Dark is recovering in the drone count. A little bit. He drones up to 36. He saturates his natural, and now we're going back into mass Link Bane. Meanwhile, DRG, because of the fast Roach Warren, Roaches are in production. Now, Roaches, once they hit critical mass, they can very easily deal with Link Bane, but that's once we hit a high number. At low numbers, Dark can surround. Here we go. Dark is doubling down, moving out across the map. Bailing is going to get saved. Here we go. Dark is pushing, but there are so many Bailings here to defend. There's going to be 4. And the Bailings are out. The Roach is looking a little bit exposed. Dark waddling into the middle line. But when he does crash in, it's going to be 4 workers going down. We needed 1 more Bailing. 4 drones so far. And Dark is pulling back. Yeah, there are just too many Roaches. He realizes that he cannot quite break in. Oh, gets 1 Roach. Every unit counts. Tries to slip into the natural, but he is going to be denied. And behind this, Dark is droning. And Dark is behind. He just now starts with Roach Warren. He is late to saturate his 3rd base. DRG is in a comfortable position. For now. The pressure right now is on Dark to try to find some damage. Oh. He waddles into the mineral line, and he does get in. 2 drones go down. Not the best connection. At the same time, Lings, they catch some Roaches. Roaches are caught. Queen gets surrounded as well. A lot of Roaches are going down. Dark achieving so much with so little here. It's just pure Ling. The Bailing. The Bailings, they get baited out. Not the best connections there from DRG. We deny any kind of mining here at the 3rd base. Dark popping off here with his Ling harass, and this means that Dark has caught up. If it wasn't for this, then we would have been happily mining, would have had plenty of queens. DRG just unable to defend. And as a result, Dark, he's running away with this. He's fully saturated on 3 bases. He's taking his gas geysers. Lair is now on the way. Now, DRG, he is behind in the economy, but DRG is up when it comes to his upgrades. We have Roach Speed and +1 range on the way. DRG, he already has the Lair, so tech-wise, DRG is ahead. Economically, Dark is ahead. Now this will translate into Dark having a larger army, but DRG's army is going to be higher quality. For the time being. I say that because +1 range is about to finish up, and we'll see when DRG starts +2 range, because otherwise Dark will catch up in those upgrades. This DRG is still droning, still not saturated at his third base. Still down in workers. Yeah, DRG is just amassing roaches. And we may be doing that intentionally. DRG, he's not making workers for a reason. Ling does confirm that we are missing drones. And Dark has to take this seriously. A big scout here from Dark. Behind this, he's also amassing an army. DRG getting ready for an all-in. Waiting for roach speed. Has not started +2. So he's going for a big +1 timing. But again, the longer this goes on, Dark, he's about to finish up. He's about to even up the upgrades, and here we go, we're pushing. DRG sending everything across the map. But does he have enough? He's even in roaches, ahead in ravagers. Dark doesn't have any ravagers. But he does have the roach count. Yeah, he has more than enough. +1 range has finished for Dark. Doesn't have roach speed. He cannot chase. Not yet. Not for another couple of seconds. Oh, and Aspire is on. Okay. Aspire in production here for Dark. As Dark, he has survived. He's had a better economy. DRG now droning. But Dark, with said economy, is going to be getting into that muter, those muters. I'm that spot. We can see Dark threatening with his roaches. Looking to potentially trade. Link's coming in for a counterattack. Dark actually committing here. Ooh, does lose a lot of roaches at the same time, though. There are reinforcements in position. Dark, he does not find the queen. He will retreat, and the Spire is about to finish. Dark, he just shaved off a couple of roaches. He's replacing them, so hopefully we'll leave enough supply to actually make muters. As DRG is also hyperfixated on Roach Ravager. There it is, 6 muters are on the way. Dark slipping into that natural base, catching a... There's just something about Dark, he just keeps killing queens. It's crazy. Gets another queen, gets a drone at the natural. Can he get a drone in the main? Oh, he will. Gets one worker in the main base, gets a second worker as well. You can see DRG is working towards a hive tech, towards Hydras, but the muters, they have arrived. They have since revealed themselves. And we are ignoring all these overlords. We're going for some economic damage instead. DRG going for a counterattack. The muters are getting into the main, into the natural. There's nothing here. The queen died earlier. The queens, they were picked off. The setup here from Dark. He killed the queens earlier with those lings. But the muters, they turn back around. They go for the queens that have been brought together. It's going to be a rough trade here, but he gets one queen. He's going to get the other. Meanwhile, DRG trying to force his way up this ramp. The vials, they do not connect. Does have another army here towards the left. DRG going for a split push. Trying to find some damage here. And DRG, he is breaking through. He's getting into the middle line. Drones are going down. At the same time, the main army, the vials. Vials do force back. They do force back Dark. But the muters, they have arrived. And Dark collapsing on this. He will clean this up. Dark did lose his fourth, though. Fourth did go down. And DRG, he just ignores the army, goes straight for the mineral lines, dragging Dark all the way back home. And economically, Dark is hurting. Drones, so many of them are going down. It's going to be 19 dead workers. And this will trigger a massive counterattack. Dark, he is far ahead here in the army supply. DRG, what do we have to defend? We have Hydras? No lurkers. That's the problem here. The problem is that Dark, He's remaxing not on Mutas, he's remaxing on Roach Ravager. We need a ground army. These Hydras, some of them are okay, but this may just be too many Hydras. As in, this is not what DRG wants. And here we go. Dark pushing across him up. He has maxed out. DRG stuck with so many Hydras, and they do not trade well against Roaches at all. And here we go. We dive on the army. Dark, he smells blood. He dives on top of the Hydras. The Hydras, they melt their glass cannons. And the Roaches, they will clean them up. Dark overwhelming his opponent. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 3 in the series 2-0. Or 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Dark, he does fight back. That was a bit of a back and forth there, but Dark overall was able to achieve so much with his Lings. I was very impressed. Very impressed with what Dark achieved with his Mass Ling. If you remember, DRG had held. Remember, in the early game, he had defended. He got into Roaches. He got into his 3-base setup as well. He got into his 3-base setup, and he was poised to take that game. And then Dark, with pure Ling, was able to go back and forth, was able to dive on top of the Roaches, dive on top of the Queens, get into the mineral line, deny mining at the 3rd base. He achieved so much with just Lings, and with that, GG. GG, well played.